Today in the show, we're going to be talking about Freddie Freeman, Captain Marvel Jr. If you didn't know that he wasn't originally a DC Comics character, then this show is for you. So, Freddie Freeman. He isn't actually made by DC Comics. He would first appear in a title called Wiz Comics under the publisher Fawcett Comics, and the Marvel family would be active under Fawcett Comics from 1941 till 1953, and they would eventually be bought by DC Comics in 1972. And they would make it into DC continuity for a while, but they would all be retconned out of continuity in Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985. Freddie wouldn't make it back into DC Comics continuity until 1995, where he would appear in The Power of Shazam. So with all this in mind, Freddie really hasn't had a very easy publication history. Now, it is worth saying, in the golden age of comics, Freddie did have his own title called Captain Marvel Jr. And it's in this title that the tradition of Freddie being a darker character than Billy Batson came about. Captain Marvel Jr. was a very dark title for its time. By comparison to these days' standards, it's not exactly all that dark, but for its time it was considered very edgy. Freddie was born in New England and lived with his parents and a foster brother named Timothy, but his parents would eventually die and he would be sent to live with his grandfather, and Timothy would be sent to another foster home. As a teenager, Freddie was very close with Billy Batson, was actually an all-star athlete. You name a sport and he played it and was really good at it. Then one day, after winning a baseball game for his school, he went on a fishing trip with his grandfather. And here, Captain Marvel would be fighting Captain Nazi. Freddie and his grandfather wouldn't actually see the fight. They would just see a person drop out of the sky into the lake. So naturally they would try and save this person, but it turned out to be Captain Nazi, who attacked both men and badly injured both of them. So it was up to Captain Marvel to get both of them to hospital. Here it was revealed that Freddie's grandfather was put into a coma, and Freddie was so badly hurt he would never walk again. So Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel took Freddie to the wizard Shazam, who gave him the ability to turn into Captain Marvel Jr., allowing him to walk only in his transformed state. Not all was good though. Freddie's grandfather actually died while in the coma. So Freddie would go on a rampage against Captain Nazi and had to be stopped by the other two Marvels. It's from this moment onwards that Captain Nazi became Freddie's nemesis. Freddie would eventually try making a pass at Mary Marvel, which Billy obviously wasn't okay with, so Freddie and Billy had a bit of a falling out, and Freddie would distance himself from the Marvel family and move to New York, where he joined the Teen Titans. And here he changed his name to CM3 so he could identify himself without triggering his transformation. His stint in the titles lasted a ridiculously short time because he was in the Atom's Titans and kind of joined in the later half of the series, so he really didn't get to do anything individually important, so he was soon to return to Fawcett City, where he made up with Captain Marvel. So when it comes to Timothy, Freddie's foster brother from when he was a kid, Timothy actually became a villain and gained powers from something called Sabak, but eventually someone would steal those powers from Timothy and kill him. This would force Freddie to team up with the Outsiders to stop this person. Then a little bit later on, Freddie became a full-fledged member of the Outsiders. Freddie is once again active in the 52 series, where he is a member of the Titans yet again, and he actually refuses Osiris membership into the Titans because of how much Osiris is linked to Black Adam. But he says to Osiris that if he can prove to the entire world that he only means well and wants to save lives, then he can join the Titans. And this goes really well until Osiris accidentally kills a person, and the Titans have to be investigated for terrorist activity. Then after the death of Isis and Osiris, World War III would come about and Freddie would end up fighting Black Adam and would lose. Freddie and Mary would eventually lose their powers when the wizard Shazam was killed, making Billy the keeper of the Rock of Eternity. Now, because Mary fell from an incredibly high height and was now in a coma, she couldn't become the next Captain Marvel, which made Freddie the next in line. So Freddie had to go through the trials of Shazam. Now I just want you to take note of something here. Freddie's trials are actually given to him by the Lords of Magic. Now these Lords of Magic actually share names of the Olympian gods, but they are not the Olympian gods. They are the Lords of Magic. They're like two different people that share the same name. The first trial was actually the easiest, but also incredibly hard for Freddie to do. He had to get a magical tattoo placed upon his soul by Solomon, and this would give him eternal wisdom. Now there is nothing more painful than getting a tattoo placed upon your soul in the DC universe. So to expect a teenager to endure this is insane. However, Freddie does it and he gains an insane amount of mystical knowledge. But after this is done, it's revealed that a girl called Sabina is also in line to become the next Shazam. Next, Freddie had the trial of courage from Achilles, where he had to fight a hate empath in the Middle East. And Freddie is actually able to pass this, but Sabina kills Achilles by shooting him in his heel. But Freddie is still given the gift of Achilles, meaning he gains the Captain Marvel uniform and super invulnerability. Next, Freddie had the trial of strength from Heracles. Now there was a bit of a moral dilemma here because this trial basically involved Freddie having to break Heracles out of jail for killing a lot of people, which he obviously wasn't okay with. So while he was debating whether he should or shouldn't do it, Sabina came along with the head of Medusa and forced the gift of Heracles out of Heracles. But fortunately, Heracles is able to bestow his gift on Sabina and Freddie at the same time, which caused the both of them to fight, but because they are so evenly matched, Sabina just leaves. Next was going to be the trial of stamina, but that never happened because Sabina killed Atlas before Freddie could get to Atlas, which means Freddie had to temporarily take Atlas's place in holding up the burdens of the world. This was so much to undertake for Freddie, so much going on at once, so much pressure on his mind that 3 minutes felt like months. Captain Marvel comes along and takes this burden off of Freddie, but says that he can only take this burden for 24 hours before he returns to the Rock of Eternity. So Freddie is able to convince Apollo to undertake this burden, and Apollo gives Freddie his gift, the gift of healing. The trial of speed is another trial that never happened because Sabina holds Mercury's mortal children hostage, and when Mercury tries to save them, Sabina kills him. This was the last straw, and Freddie had to get in the Justice League, Shadow Pact, and Zatanna for help for the final trial, which was for the gift of Zeus. Now obviously, Zeus was not going to give his abilities to Sabina willingly, and obviously couldn't be killed like the other gods. There was one spell that would give Sabina these abilities, and this one spell required a sacrifice of 1 million people. So Sabina opened a portal leading to Las Vegas, which unleashed a whole bunch of demons, and these demons went about killing people until it almost got to 1 million deaths. Freddie then turns up and says that he's going to throw Sabina and himself into the portal from where these demons are coming from, and even though it will kill both of them, it will undo all the damage that Sabina has done. And because Freddie had been shown that he was willing to sacrifice himself, Zeus is able to show himself and give Freddie the rest of the abilities of Shazam, which allows Freddie to defeat Sabina. Now there is a story worth mentioning that Freddie wasn't exactly in after this, but he is mentioned in it. It's in the Justice Society of America, and the wizard Shazam comes back from the dead and he takes Billy and Mary Marvel's powers away because they have not been doing their job properly. The wizard Shazam says that he cannot take Freddie's powers away, but will deal with him later. He can't take Freddie's powers away because Freddie's powers come directly from the gods, not from the wizard Shazam like the other two's. Freddie would be present in Justice League Cry for Justice, but it turned out not to be Freddie, but the villain Prometheus, and Freddie was actually tied up in Fawcett City with his lips stitched together so he couldn't say Shazam to save himself. Then Freddie's final appearance was actually when Osiris was going around killing whole groups of people in an attempt to revive his sister Isis. Freddie would try and get Osiris to stop, but then Osiris would trick Freddie, call down a magical bolt of lightning, and strip Freddie of his powers to revive his sister. This of course means the power of Shazam left the Marvel family for good, and left Freddie powerless and technically unable to walk again. Cheery ending. Freddie is in the New 52, he's blonde now, weirdly, and he has appeared as Captain Marvel Jr., I think. I think it was in the finale of the Shazam origin. I'm not 100% sure because, being honest, I've only heard about that story arc. I haven't actually read it because I heard it was really bad and I really like the Marvel family, so I just kind of want them to be in this state of being really good in my mind. I also feel like he needs to have his own title again, like a modern day title, because he seems to have this weird pattern of writers just really getting who he is, and then he'll have something really weird that kind of deconstructs who he is a bit, and it's kind of not quite right and badly written, and then something will just really get who he is, and then once again it's just not quite right and badly written. If he had his own title that lasted for about 20 to 30 issues, that would kind of really set in stone who he is for at least another 10 to 20 years. And I think that's what he needs. I just feel like this character is a little bit underappreciated. He's so much fun and just deserves so much more than he's gotten, especially recently. Also, I'm cosplaying him next year, so I just want to get a lot of attention while I'm in the cosplay.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. Leave a comment down below if you think I forgot anything important about Freddie Freeman. And also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon so I can make bigger and better and more history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and follow me on Instagram. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.